The American Heart Association, the organization that is supposed to prevent heart disease, the #1 killer worldwide. And they showed up at a committee in Texas where they're trying to pass a bill. This bill would restrict people from using food stamps for things like sugary drinks, candy, and other unhealthy foods.
For the American Heart Association to be against this bill, that might be the surprise of the session.
And out of all the groups that would oppose that bill, would shock me, the American Heart Association's Director for Governmental Relationships, who came in and opposed it.
I certainly understand why that might be surprising.
Now, I think most people know that the American Heart Association gets a lot of funding from the junk food industry. But from a public relations standpoint, you don't want the American Heart Association opposing something like that. Well, they did. They were embarrassed.
The Heart Association is concerned about potential impacts of this bill on participation and population health.
I just was astonished that the American Heart Association was against our SNAP reform bill that would just say you can't have sugary drinks, you can't chips, cookies, limiting that and pushing people more to protein density rich foods.
They now say that they're no longer opposing that bill.
I certainly understand why that might be surprising.
Did you realize that of all the foods, soda is the single most frequent item bought under the SNAP program? There's a lot at stake for the soda industry because the subsidies, dollars from taxpayers, pay for the SNAP program in the amount of $10 billion, not $1 million, $10 billion a year for that soda, which then lead to obesity, type 2 diabetes, then feeds Big Pharma because they're treating the side effects from the junk food industry. And on top of that, you have the American Heart Association that's supporting the funding of this thing. The soda lobbyists are just going haywire. Their latest meme or motto or campaign was saying that this is an issue of liberty, right? Freedom to choose what you want to eat. The American Heart Association has so many conflicts of interest. And what do I mean conflicts of interest? I mean money from actual industry, big pharma, big food. They have a whole section of the American Heart Association called the Industry Nutrition Forum, where they have Pepsi, General Mills, etc., etc. And of course, on various cereals, they have this little American Heart Association certified, okay, because they have the healthy grains. Of this whole grains, you can pay to get this certification. Of course, they have the frosted version right here, which also says can help you lower the cholesterol, but I don't see the little seal right here, even though both of these have virtually the same amount of carbohydrates. Both of these have whole grain oats, corn starch, sugar, corn syrup. And of course, the soda industry is also hitting social media big time. They're actually paying influencers a lot of money to help them object to this bill. In fact, certain influencers were paid over $1,000 a post for objecting to this. The other campaigns that they're doing is they're pushing this food insecurity. We need to provide cheap food. The entire idea of subsidy came after the Depression when the farmers needed help. And this has evolved into a very corrupt operation where now we're making the junk food industry richer by paying for the raw material. Did you realize that 1 metric ton of that dent corn with the subsidies is $195? Do you know how many boxes of cornflakes you could make with 1 metric ton of dent corn? Basically, we're paying the junk food industry to make this junk food. Then we're subsidizing the government SNAP program, food stamps, to make it very easy for people to consume this food. Now realize we already paid for a lot of the raw material for these junk foods to be made. Now, we as taxpayers pay a second time for certain people that have food stamps to consume that junk food, which we know 90% of chronic disease comes from junk food. And the majority of big pharma treats the side effects from junk food. So as you can see, the system is not broken. It's working perfectly. It's just not working for you. Do the people that subsidize the SNAP program benefit? No. Who benefits? Big food and big pharma. Here's my thought on this whole thing. I think they should continue the SNAP program for nutrient-dense foods, not ultra-processed foods, because that would not only reduce chronic disease, it would also save a tremendous amount of money with all the prescription medication. We're really in a PR war right now where the junk food industry is trying everything it can to maintain these profits because there's a tremendous amount of money at stake Just the soda industry subsidies alone, $10 billion. A lot of the sweetener in the soda is high fructose corn syrup. It goes to the liver. It creates a fatty liver, creates high blood pressure. It creates diabetes. It inflames the inside of the arteries. It starts heart disease. But it's mind-blowing to me that out of all the organizations, the American Heart Association was the one that stood up and opposed this bill. You have to realize that the junk food industry never is the one that's objecting to it. They use other organizations or front groups to do that type of work. Anyway, I am just really curious what you think about this topic. Please let me know in the comments down below. Hey, before you leave, I just wanted to give you a little quick history on some of the books that I wrote. This was one of the first books. It's called Dr. Berg Body Shapes. It was my attempt at writing about body types. What was very interesting about this book is I actually did all the images myself. Don't ask me why. They look actually not quite as professional as some of the images that I have in the new book. But anyway, this is my first attempt right here called Dr. Berg's Body Shape Diets. And then I wrote a book more extensive called The 7 Principles of Fat Burning. I don't even have a copy anymore, actually, because it's outdated. The next book, I put about 1,000 hours into this one right here called The New Body Type Guide. Major updates on the body types. I put a lot of energy into this. It has professional images, graphics, all sorts of things. Now, the problem with this book is it doesn't really describe what this is really about. Body types are only a small portion of what's in this book. And that's why I changed the name to the Healthy Keto Plan, okay? If you happen to have this book, you don't really need this book because there's some only very, very minor updates. But if you don't have this, you need to get this one right here. This book goes into every single detail that you would ever want to know about. It goes into the 7 principles of fat burning. It goes into hormones, the body types, the basic keto plan. It goes into intermittent fasting. I talk about the 10 fat burning triggers and blockers and fat burning strategies with a lot of details in every single chapter. I go into body issues that interfere with losing weight. There's very few people that just have a weight problem. They have a lot of body issues, whether it's sleeping problems, stress problems, inflammation, menopause. I cover that extensively in this book. Then I talk about how to get rid of stress, and I show you a technique. Then I get into exercising. And then I have a lot of really good recipes in this book as well. So this is a good reference guide. On my website, if you get this book, you get this one free. It's called Healthy Keto and Intermittent Fasting. This is the shortcut, quick guide to this book. And the reason I created this book is to have you, within 45 minutes, learn how to do keto, okay, in intermittent fasting, exactly what you need to do. Then you can fill in the blanks with this book right here. So right now I'm doing a special. If you get this book, you get this one totally free, or you can go to Amazon and get these individually. So I just want to clarify the difference between this book and this updated one right here. If you don't have this, you need to get this right here. That way you can get the exact correct information to do it healthily.